Hello and welcome to another video. Today we'll be talking about the S&P 500, what it is and why does it matter. So if you've watched any financial channels or read any financial blogs, you would have definitely heard about the S&P 500 being mentioned. But to my knowledge, and I might be wrong, but so far I have not seen anyone discuss what the S&P 500 is in very simple terms. They just mention it and that's it. So I thought, let me talk about what the S&P 500 is and why does it matter and why do most of these financial channels mention it. So without further yapping, let's get started. So what is the S&P 500? The S&P 500 is short for the Standard and Poor's 500, which is a stock market index that measures the performance of 500 of the largest and most prominent publicly traded companies in the United States. These companies span various industries and sectors, representing a diverse cross-section of the American economy, from tech giants like Apple and Microsoft to retail monsters like Walmart and Amazon. The S&P 500 includes a broad spectrum of corporate companies. So, let's understand the makeup. Think of the S&P 500 as a massive basket that holds a collection of America's corporate heavyweights. Each company included in the index is weighted based on its market capitalization, which is determined by multiplying the number of outstanding shares by the current share price. This means that larger companies exert more influence on the index's movement compared to smaller ones. So, why does this matter? The S&P 500 serves as an indicator for the health and strength of the US stock market and, by extension, the broader economy. And as a widely followed benchmark, it provides investors, economists, and policymakers with valuable insights into market trends, sentiments, and investor confidence. The S&P index dates back to 1923, when it was first introduced by Standard and Poor's, a financial service company founded in 1860. The initial goal of the S&P 500 index was to track the performance of the largest companies in the United States. But since then, it has become one of the world's most widely recognized and respected stock market indices. Financial analysts, traders, and investors use the S&P 500 index to measure the performance of the US stock market. It is a gold standard benchmark widely used and essential for understanding the economy. What makes the S&P 500 stocks so important? One of the S&P 500's features is that it is a market capitalization weighted index. In other words, that basically means that the companies included within the index are assessed based on their market capitalization or the total value of their outstanding shares. This system aims to provide a more accurate representation of the overall performance of the largest companies in the US stock market. Many consider the S&P 500 index a more representative benchmark for measuring stock performance than other indices that use different weighted methods, such as the Dow Jones Industrial Average, which is a price weighted index. Now, because the S&P 500 includes various companies from various industries, the S&P 500 is also considered a broad market index. Broad market indices include large liquid stocks and function as benchmarks for estimating the performance of different stocks and portfolios. Investors, traders, and financial analysts worldwide closely monitor this variety index as it serves as a leading indicator of the overall health of the US economy, making it a go-to for those looking to get better acquainted with the US stock market and invest in specific sectors or industries. Therefore, a rising S&P 500 index is often a sign of a strong and growing economy, and the falling one is the opposite. Also, the S&P 500 index is used as a benchmark for many investment products such as mutual funds and ETFs, exchange traded funds, which are designed to track the index performance. So, the question is, why invest in the S&P 500 index? So, as I've mentioned before, the S&P 500 is considered a leading indicator of the overall health of the US stock market and economy. This means that actively participating and monitoring the index can be a great way of staying up to date with the state of the global economy. Now, when it comes to investing, you want to be diversified in many different sectors and industries. And by investing into the S&P 500 index, you are automatically diversifying your entire portfolio. Instead, if you were to invest in individual stocks, then you would not be as diversified because it depends. You might be investing in one industry, you might be investing in several industries, but if you invest in the broad market index, the S&P 500, you're investing in all 500 companies in different sectors and industries, and it's the benchmark. So when mutual funds and exchange traded funds are designed to track the index's performance, mutual funds which are managed, they are trying to beat the index. So why try to beat the index when most of them cannot? Because the index is the benchmark, the gold standard. Then why not just invest in the gold standard and invest in the index? And then there is the long-term returns. Investing in the S&P 500 has proven to be a profitable decision in the long run. Historically, the S&P 500 index has delivered annualized returns of about 8% over the long term. And in fact, the only time the S&P 500 underperformed was during the most significant world financial crisis, such as the 2008 recession and the 2020 global pandemic. So the question then is, should I invest in the S&P 500 index? And to that, as with everything, I say that is your personal choice. I cannot make that choice for you, and you shouldn't just be listening to some random guy on the internet or any random guy or girl on the internet telling you you should or you shouldn't. But what I can advise you is that you should look into it more and familiarize yourself with the terminology and how it works. Therefore, when you do, or if you do decide to invest, you will be comfortable, happy, and you will know what you're doing, instead of just listening to some schmuck on the internet telling you to invest in some random stuff. So with all that being said, hopefully that clarified what the S&P 500 is. If it did, give the video a like, comment down in the comments below, let me know what you thought, subscribe, and that's it. Take care.